are drinking blood and sacrificing people. What we have is a system that's been so deep and dark that those of us that have known for decades, I give us credit for surviving, staying graceful with the public when we're waiting for everybody to draw the line and say, you guys are done. You guys are absolutely done. I don't think we've ever been this close in history.
Everything that those guys are up to is a control agenda, a depopulation agenda, a total psyop, a total manipulation. I mean, Gates is suing Texas because they're not going to take his process or his lab-made meat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's endless.
Hey friends, welcome back. Thanks so much for being here. So that was Patty Greer and Laura Eisenhower. And if you have an open heart and an intelligent mind, I think you're going to enjoy this challenging conversation. And towards the end of this conversation, you will hear us all in real time hear the news that Charlie Kirk had been shot. And in that moment, I hoped he could be saved. I didn't understand the extent of his injuries. But I think this is the perfect time to release this interview because we must all come together. We must all wake up and we must all throw off these chains. The chains of the little hats, the Zionist cabal, and the New World Order that seems hell-bent on turning us all into Gazans. Now, as many of you know, I've already covered many of the questions surrounding Charlie Kirk's assassination now that some time has passed. But to really sum up exactly how I feel, before we get started on this particular call, I want to play this clip from Michael Savage.
Now, the Mauser does not break down very easily, incidentally, for those of you who know weapons. Something's wrong with the whole thing. They're trying to claim he removed the barrel from the Mauser and fit the receiver and stock in his backpack and barrel in his pants leg all in 2 seconds. It is not easy to remove a Mauser barrel or index it after reinstalling and remain accurate. We are not hearing or seeing reality. And by the way, the photo of the rifle allegedly left in the woods has the barrel installed. So we're supposed to believe a guy is on the run after killing Charlie Kirk, and he pauses in the woods to reinstall a barrel, and he leaves it for us to find, the FBI to find. I don't believe a word of it. I shouldn't do this. I know I'm putting myself at risk, but I can't take it anymore. I can't take the bullshit from this fucking government. It's lying to us. Something's wrong. Something's so wrong, it's sickening.
Friends, please listen with an open heart, and with that in mind, I thank you for being here. Before we start, just a quick word about a valued sponsor. If you built up $100,000 or more in investments, do you really want all of it riding on the stock market? Banks, billionaires, and even entire countries are loading up on physical gold and silver. Why? Because when markets swing and countries print, real assets hold their value. That's why I want to tell you about Noble Gold Investments. They make it simple to own investment-grade gold and silver, the same kind the big players are buying, and you can actually hold it in your hand or put it safely in your retirement account. You've worked hard to build your wealth. Isn't it time you protected it? Noble Gold is family-owned, trusted by thousands, and ranked #1 in gold IRAs 4 years in a row. Their precious metals specialists are standing by to answer your questions and walk you through every step. Simple, safe, easy. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com today. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. It's time to protect what you've built. Hey friends, welcome back. Thanks so much for being here. Sean from SGT Report. Guys, everybody with eyes to see and ears to hear who's truly awake knows that if there is an alien invasion, it will be a faux alien invasion in the style of NASA's Project BLUEBEAM. By the way, in this conversation with my returning guests, Patty Greer and Laura Eisenhower, we're going to talk about the extremes of psyops and mind control techniques that are clearly being used to try to brainwash humanity. In our last interview called Cue the Alien Invasion, we talked about it, but we have many, many new updates for you here today. Let me welcome my guests, the CEO of C60 Evo and award-winning filmmaker Patty Greer. Patty, welcome back.
Thank you so much. What a treat.
What a treat to have you back. And Laura Eisenhower, author, researcher, international speaker, and the great-granddaughter of President Eisenhower. Welcome back, Laura.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you guys back. And let me just say, I always like to pay things forward. and inform the audience about great things that can make their lives better. Let me just play this brief exchange between my recent guest, Dan Metcalf from BornSuperhuman.com. Dan and I were talking about his severe head injury, and he was basically paralyzed for a period of time. He bounced back like only a superhuman can, and he gives a lot of credit to a miracle molecule called C60. Listen to this.
We need to make sure that we're giving energy to the cells to feed the brain to function that then controls the functions of the rest of the body.
Okay, so C60 played a key role in your recovery? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I'm playing that, guys, because I got to tell you, every single day, I swear to you, I'll show the photo. I take organic extra virgin olive oil with ESS60, C60, in the capsule form.
Good. I'm really glad.
Yeah, and there it is. Well, I just wanted to pay it forward. We'll talk a little bit more about that later in the show. But where I wanted to start today, guys, is with the UFO phenomenon, with the potentiality of a fake alien invasion. And we'll begin with this clip of the exchange between Congressman Burleson and Redacted, talking about a never before seen UFO just captured recently over Yemen. Check this out.
This is the video over Yemen that you released for the first time. Can you explain what we're seeing here and how where this video came from?
Yeah, I received this video anonymously. It appears to be, and what was the description that came along with the video says that there is an object that's being tracked by a drone, a U.S. military drone, off the coast of Yemen, and that another drone sent a Hellfire missile at this object. And as you can see, it doesn't take it down. I mean, it warbles a little bit, but then what's really interesting is what happens to the material from the missile seems to be dragged along with this object, trailing behind it. And so that's what's kind of remarkable about this video. But look, again, I don't know if this is even, I don't have the forensics ability to determine if this is an accurate video or if this is AI or if it's faked in any way. But rather than sit on it, Clayton, and not give anything, I've come to the conclusion, look, it's time to like shake things up, and it's time to stop holding on to things and being cautious. And if it comes out and people say, oh, this is a prosaic video of something boring, maybe a balloon or whatever, I'm fully fine with that. But what I'm not going to do is sit on things and wait for that, because I think the American people have become impatient, as you are and as I am.
Let me pause it there and come back to my guests. I have a lot more to say about that one. What say you, esteemed guests? UFO, balloon? Interesting that it couldn't be shot down by a Hellfire missile.
Well, listening to the gentleman that was sitting there in Congress saying we don't know if it's AI or not kind of takes you off immediately to, well, is it a psyop or is it the real deal? But we've seen so much of this that it's hard to say. Depends who filmed it. It depends, who edited the film for me to have a perception. But I have much better footage than that as far as orbs and balls of light creating crop circles that I know are real because I was there in the field. So right now, anything I see online to me feels very much psyop. What about you, Laura?
For sure. And this is really all they have left. I mean, there was a fake alien invasion that was supposed to happen in 2014, and everything was, for the deep state, revolving around that particular date being successful. This all originated in the 1930s, that 90% of the population would be sold off to other species. This major slave trade going on in a much, much larger, picture. After we reached warp 1, it changed everything. And the agreements between humans and off-planet beings began. We put bases on the moon and Mars and everything like that. So there were strategies put in place during Eisenhower's administration to prevent this particular trajectory from going too far. So this outer barrier was put around the planet. Val Thor and Eisenhower appealing to the Guardians, people that have strong missions on this planet, those of us that stand for truth and sovereignty, we're all a part of really warding off any kind of fake alien invasion. And because they know that they cannot succeed in doing it in the way that they originally planned, what they really only have left are like localized holographic, technology, false UFO crashes, AI, leaking controlled disclosure narratives that compromise figures that are here to bring about the truth, which is ramping up big time. They're weaponizing victim stories by, I feel, putting plants in place that are very, very hard for people to discern. But that's going a little bit off topic. But weaponized tech disguised as ET activity. They have all these kind of technologies: drones, plasma, directed energy events presented as alien craft. They can't do the kind of fake alien invasion that would have compromised us. So they were on to like plan D or E or F at this point. So that's why we saw what we saw in 2019, 2020. And they're really scrambling to come up with any kind of psyop or distraction, including false narratives connected to federations and Earth Alliance that aren't even what these things really represent. So false narratives, in order to create, I think, this problem reaction solution as their last hook into distracting humanity away from what's inevitable, which is us rising up and joining with the Earth Alliance, which is not here to save us, but here to work along with us. For certain leaders that have their hands tied by the deep state, that require us to stand up to help them side with us. Because Eisenhower didn't really have any power. Trump doesn't really have any power. The only power that is really important is the power we reclaim, because they are the powers that stole all this dark technology. Artificial timelines literally use us and harvest and siphon energy to battery it up. And if it's not that, it's our distraction with AI, with CGI, with all sorts of ways to hook us into a storyline to continue to pull our attention away from what actually counts, that we don't have confidence about yet as a humanity that we're capable of doing. The government structures, the deep state, are crumbling when we hold our power and our truth. And we have the discernment to call these things out and have these kind of conversations. And this is why they won't be successful, because how many experts are there? Back when 9/11 happened, it wasn't until the architects and engineers began to talk about it that people were like, wait a second. Yeah, they didn't go to school for it, but they could tell there was anomalies.
Mhm.
Now, too many people are talking, but the censorship has really gotten out of control, unfortunately.
Yeah, and let me just say something, guys. In this far-reaching conversation, woo-woo warning alert. Don't be triggered by the language. Let's just have a conversation. I know that there's some things that Laura just said that my audience will definitely bump on. An Earth Alliance, off-world ETs, visitation, bases on the moon, bases on Mars. That is one expert's opinion. There are other experts with other opinions. A lot of people think that the firmament is real, and Elon is not actually getting rockets into space, neither is NASA. Maybe we'll talk about that, but the elephant in the room remains what Laura just described: a fake alien invasion. I want to play this clip from the People's Voice about a fake alien invasion, potentially in 2025, but they're rapidly running out of months in the year. I wonder if they'll save it for 2026, or if it is now deemed impossible by the powers that be, because we are all paying attention. Listen to this.
All indications, like all of them, is that lie is going to be that there is a craft slowly making its way to us here on Earth. And that is the lie they're going to want you to believe. It's nuanced how they explain that, the nature of that threat. But that 100% is the lie you are going to be told. You even got a date. People have been whispering a date for a long time now. I know where that lie comes from. I know specifically what document from the 70s initiated the idea of that lie. A classified document. That is the lie you will be told. You're going to be told that there is a craft on its way to Earth. That's the lie. I hope I'm wrong.
All right, I'll pause it there. Let me return to my guests. Laura, why is it so much more difficult for them now to try to pull this off? And what was the original plan? If they had tried this 20 years ago, they might have gotten away with it.
Yeah, they might have gotten away with it. 2014 was the planned year. And this isn't just an expert. This is, somebody who is a physicist, is an inventor like Tesla, who discovered the 6th force, 7th force, and 8th force. I'm doing a documentary about him. He's so profound. He was granted immunities. He didn't sign an NDA, so he's allowed to disclose stuff. He served a 20 and back. He is a senior advisor to the Earth Alliance. There's a lot of false information about it. And it basically was set up in Eisenhower's administration. People can question Val Thor and all this. I mean, and it's good to be a family member because you get up close and personal experience, and you meet interesting people that a lot need to be vetted, and there has to be corroborating testimony as well. It's not just going to come from one person. So this has been a lifelong thing of research. So the outer barrier was put up in 2014, which basically kept any beings nefarious underground, in these deep underground bases, any deep state players, which mostly are the ones that are running the show, not aliens. And there's agreements for them to be able to do this without too much intervention. And I know this goes over people's heads, but there are a lot of psyops and people are having contact experiences. So, and some are legit and some are questionable. So at this stage in the game with the outer barrier, which is connected to the Guardians, and the Guardian founder groups do not come here to save the day. They're not a part of any federation. They're not part of any particular group that is connected to military. But what they did was they buffered the planet so that none could leave and none could come in.
But who did? Who is that? Are you describing aliens? Are you describing, what are you, just deep state apparatus?
The Guardians. So if anybody looks up energeticsynthesis.com, Lisa Renee, the grid workers, the thing is that it's amongst us. We are the advanced souls that are awakening. It's less about any ETs beyond us. It's about source energy, God source, the Christos, the Christ energy, the planetary grid network, the Sophionic energy, the corrections of all that. The connection with Val Thor. Val Thor supposedly went rogue and was there to advise Eisenhower. They can't really intervene or do anything. But what they did was planted a seed during Eisenhower's administration, which if you read my book, I have all the testimony and backup, which is numerous, that they seeded this Earth Alliance. But what was more important is Val helped Eisenhower appeal to the Guardians because he said, how do we take this down? How do we take down the deep state? They've done these exchanges with humans for technology. This started in the 30s. And because he set these things up, they specifically targeted him to blame him for signing the Greada Treaty, which was not true. There was an unconditional surrender agreement that took place. And that trajectory meant that in 2014, they were going to have a fake alien invasion, which would have sold 90% of the population that was already sold in the 30s after we reached Warp 1. And Tesla sold his technology to the Nazis, unfortunately. And he didn't know fully what he had gotten himself into and what they did to him as a result. So this outer barrier is supposed to keep us being like taken off, right? If a fake alien invasion came, there wasn't just the invasion, there was also the ships are coming, let's jump on the ships. So you got a fake alien invasion that is also cloaked as come join us, come jump on the ships, right? So how that was going to play out, I'm not sure. But Dan Cooper, who is an incredible source, who really doesn't want anything for this, and he's given me information because he didn't sign any NDAs. Anybody can vet him, read my book, look at my Substack, is that, yes, this outer barrier prevented 90% of the population from being sold off to other, races and planets. And because that depopulation agenda did not succeed, they're coming up with all these other attempts to try and thin out the population and depopulate us. That would have been a fake invasion, but it would have, it would have been masked in a psyop, right? In order to convince people. It could have been a scare tactic with an invasion, with a rescue group coming in to take people away, take them off planet, with the threat of New World Order, which basically was selling them off to other species. Or we've got this New World Order on the planet, which is the depopulation agenda of this other competing, timeline. So, it's insanity, right? So I know it's all woo-woo. I'm not a woo-woo kind of person. I'm a skeptic. I vet people. I do a lot of interviews and I've done a lot of research. But because they can't succeed in what they were trying to do, this is where we're seeing all these other attempts, but they're very, very weak. So what he was just talking about in that clip, yes, it's very important, but it's going to be far less of what it was going to be. And they're scrambling because they know that most of these psyops and false flags or these possible, successful fake alien invasions, or even an invasion that could have taken 90% of the population, will not succeed. So we're literally knocking out plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D until we've exhausted them. And it's our endurance that wins the war. It's our ability to
100%.
win the war on consciousness from within. It doesn't matter if people believe in ETs or not. The whole point is this is an ascension window period. There are different things that happen to make that possible.
Right.
And these
And
are
I
some of
call it
the,
a shift in consciousness, right? The Great Awakening,
yes,
2012,
and
the
it's
end of the
us.
Mayan calendar. And Patty, I know you had a comment, so we'll come to you in just one second. But I do, in a second, want to share another whistleblower, an expert in the space that is helping wake humanity up to the idea of hidden technology that is so advanced and so exotic, it appears to normies to be UFO technology. Patty, your turn to talk because I know you had something to say.
So I mean, my experience is different, and I'm a documentary filmmaker. So for me, it's evidence that I can bring to the table, which is a lot more physically minded, but this is a spiritual war, there's no doubt. And our intuition is going to get us there or not. And right now, we are all being tested independently. And I am counting on humanity. I have total faith in our evolution. But this particular project, Bluebeam, was planted in the minds of scientists and NASA guys decades ago. And this was an agreement between NASA. What I read was NASA and the UN were creating a global fake event called Project Bluebeam using satellites, holograms, and frequency-based mind control, which is going to be a really big piece here, to unite the world under one authoritarian government. And they did this plan in 4 stages that we are seeing happen before our eyes on a physical level, but also spiritually. A lot of us are starving right now. Like, why am I losing so many friends? People are scared when we talk about what we believe we know, and a lot of people just can't deal. But the 4 phases are really interesting of Project Bluebeam. So it begins with phase 1. They trigger earthquakes all around the world to places that are uncovering fake artifacts, historic religious artifacts, so that they can rewrite religious history and discredit traditional belief systems. That was stage 1.
Oh, can I
Phase
add
2.
something to that before you get to phase two? I'll just interrupt briefly.
Yeah.
My Lunch Break is a great YouTube channel that showcases all of the wonderful treasures that have been hidden, buried, in many cases because of dams. They've created dams to cover up basins filled with old world technology and old world relics. They've done this all over the world. So, a shout out to My Lunch Break on YouTube, which showcases our hidden history. They've lied to us about everything. Go ahead with phase two, Patty.
Yeah, no, they've totally. But again, our consciousness is rising.
Yeah.
Uh, Undescribably like never before in history, because shows like yours, people like Laura and I getting out there, remaining brave whistleblowers, but your entire audience, if I may say, congratulations to all of us. I think we've come really, really far. And just to be here now is huge. Number 2, they're going to use advanced um, holographic projections to stimulate a global religious awakening, each with their own particular messiahs. And so we will see Jesus, they will see theirs, and all around the world, they're going to kind of meld it into all of us are seeing God. And we think, oh my God, this is really happening. Number 3, and this to me is the most worrisome with all the cell towers and the smart meters on our homes, the ELF system, which is the extremely low frequency waves to stimulate telepathic communications with God to convince people that we are getting information from God. And all these people are like, listen to me, let me be famous. God spoke with me. I mean, how many of those are we seeing? So these are all working and in effect. But the biggest one is to create a staged alien invasion to promote panic and chaos and a demand for a new global authority across the world. So we need to ask ourselves when we see anything like the clips that you've shown, is this divine or
No.
is this designed?
Oh, it's devilish and it's satanic in my opinion. And by the way, phase three, the ELF system, uh, mind control systems Voice to skull technology exists. So extremely low frequencies built into the 5G system. That's very interesting, Patty. I hadn't really thought of that one or heard of that one before, but frequency-based mind control is a real thing. And I saw Laura nodding during your comment on that. We'll come back to that maybe in just one second. But I want to show one other thing. I want to pay it forward to another whistleblower in the space. Okay, this is Ashton Forbes commenting on that very same Yemen UFO that we saw. And I know it's the same because you see the missile come in and try to hit this thing right there. Okay, so comments I'm seeing, Ashton writes, from debunkers range from retarded to completely detached from reality. It's a balloon. Laugh my ass off. Parallax. I don't even think they know what parallax means. It's just debris that magically floats by itself. Ashton Forbes says it's plasma. Plasma can be stabilized through its own magnetic field, much like a smoke ring. Why do I bring that up? Well, because Ashton Forbes has revealed through his tireless research and whistleblowing on the disappearance of MH370 that off-world technology, at least that's the way it looks to we normies, to normal people, exists, and it is in the hands of the deep state. We're talking cold fusion, free energy, wormhole creation, Lockheed Skunk Works level technology, folks. And I think that's a big part of what we're talking about here, Laura, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And this is the thing, is Tesla's technology was weaponized. So this is why we have to demand free energy. And I just want to say I am not all alien or ET. I'm very earth-based. I'm a grid worker. I'm all about the divine blueprint, our connection with source, and undoing the reversal grid technology, the Anunnaki overlays, and all this manipulation and artificial timelines and rewritten history, and understanding the dark weaponry of things like 5G. I mean, the thing is, the reason I know about the moon and Mars, which I wouldn't have unless I was recruited to go off planet. I wasn't a part of any MK Ultra program or anything like that, but I was pre-targeted because they knew that my connection with Eisenhower. He was briefed that a descendant would come, and it's written in a book. And we worked together on bringing this about. And I know that's a lot for people, but he was ahead of his time. He warned us about the military-industrial complex, and sometimes I share things that, but I think we're all speaking the same language. There's just different terminology. So yes, the manipulation coming through the 5G connects with the nanoparticles we've been inhaling from the geoengineering and from the chemtrails and all this stuff. The thing is, we're elemental beings, and all the planetary alignments, which are a part of the greater cosmic intelligence, are giving us exactly what we need. Without even having to know what's going on, we, in our own consciousness and our own development, are exactly what we need to overthrow the deep state. The thing is, they weaponize the different astrological alignments in an inverted storyline or a false flag in order to hook us in to something that causes more inversion, right? So as far as, no, it's not feasible that 90% of the population would have been taken off planet. It would have been more about these like a small portion being taken off after terrorism, asteroids, alien invasion, right? As a psychological conditioning process to then take a certain number away as like a rescue thing. And then what validates this? The Georgia Guidestones, Alternative 3, 1970s leaked these stories about Alternative 3, which is connected to bases on Mars, abduction programs, sometimes connected to genetic arc programs and projects preserving DNA while removing humans from the planetary surface. So then you got MILABs, you have military abductions, you've got all sorts of voice to skull. You have people that are literally thinking they're communicating with benevolent ETs that are coming from deep state technologies, and this voice to skull. I mean, we're talking about one psyop and one sort of distortion field on top of another, and we collapse them through every time we're faced with it through the news. We collapse it through being able to see through it. Because the thing is, all it can do is hook us in and take our creative imagination and pull it into their web in order for it to generate and even exist.
Yeah, suck our energy like the Matrix aliens, like
yes.
the aliens in the Matrix. They suck our energy. They live off our energy. And if we feed into their beast system and their narratives, their total lie-based narratives, we give them willingly our energy. It's almost as though we agree to watch the magician's trick and be tricked by it.
Exactly. And that's the name of the game. I mean, and it is mostly, yeah, the way the deep state is weaponized advanced technology. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a contactee. I don't have that kind of off-planet, alien connection, but being recruited to go to Mars and refusing to go is also seeing through their lies. Oh, yeah, we'll protect you, we'll take you here, and blah blah blah. While
Oh,
what?
but if I may interject, let's just pause there for 1 second, because if that is true, if they were trying to recruit people such as you to quote unquote go to Mars, how in God's name would you ever know if you actually were on Mars? You
That's the
may as
thing.
well be in a deep underground base for
That's
the
what I'm
rest of
trying to
your
say
life.
as well, right? So they tried to recruit me to go to Mars, and I've written this in my book. What if that's virtual reality? What if a lot of people that think they went to Mars are literally watching a virtual reality? What if they're sitting in a chair? What if they're just being taken to some base that makes it look like Mars? So, one has to really look at people who have actually been there. I haven't, who claim to have had a 20 and back, people that were on the Mars Defense Force, people who claim to have been there, and really, listen to what they have to say. How is it feasible and possible? Well, there used to be life on Mars and then Maldek exploded. So we got to go deep into our ancient history. How would that be possible? But when people talk about jump rooms, getting there in like no time at all, I'm like, this sounds more like a virtual reality thing that they think they're on Mars. So yeah,
Yeah.
the thing is, it was a psyops to distract me. And this is the exact same thing coming through with fake alien invasions and anything that we go through in our life where some kind of frequency weapon, some sort of psyop manipulation. And this is what it does to a lot of people that work for the deep state without realizing it. They're propped up thinking that they're heroes, thinking that
Right.
they're actually helping humanity, and they're being duped. So I'll stop talking because I want to hear you guys, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, I think it's very good insight. And, again, it's a magician's trick. You have to willingly, when you show up to watch a magician, wherever that is, Las Vegas, I never go to those things, but when you show up, you know what you're getting when you walk into the room. You're going to be deceived. But the same is true with listening to these narratives and falling prey to these narratives. And Patty, I'm coming back to you. I had a question for you both, but Patty, you can address this. When Laura talks about the spiritual, and you do too, the spiritual nature of this war against humanity, one thing we can agree on, whether or not we agree on anything else, we can agree on the fact that the people at the top of the food chain, the people that have controlled humanity for a millennia, forever, the bloodlines going all the way back to Vlad the Impaler in the case of King Charles and beyond, these people are spiritually decadent. They're spiritually bankrupt. And I like to make the argument that this whole thing is spiritual warfare. And people like King Charles, people like Klaus Schwab, people like Bush Sr., people like the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds at the highest echelons of power, well, they, I think, worship Lucifer. And this whole thing is a Luciferian illusion. What say you?
Absolutely, yes. And now I'd like to talk about my history of being totally green, not knowing anything about UFOs 20 years ago. And in 2006, I went into my first crop circle, and never was my life the same. I was astounded that every day I'd wake up in the southern part of England in Wiltshire near the Avebury Stone Circle. There was one, two, three brand new crop circles that night that appeared in the fields. And it was astounding. We'd go romping out to the crop circles, and the little hairs stand up on your arms. The electromagnetic field is incredibly real. And I I made 8 movies, but it wasn't until number 8 that I was taken to the lab and shown how real crop circles were, and that they are delivering up to 400% more food and biofuel per plant. So I watched my films get hidden, suspended, suppressed. Like I went through unbelievable hatred from Satan because I was bringing people into the crop circles with my movie cameras, and I was totally green. I didn't know anything. And when you look at an image like this is woven wheat. And when it's brown, it's brittle. So humans can't do that. I'm sorry. Humans can't do that. Now, maybe that one happened when it was green and supple, a month earlier. But from everything I saw, I knew that they were real, and I proved it in my final film. And I received a bunch of EBE awards, which was really a treat. I've got one of them here. This is my 2017 Alien with a movie camera, and I kind of keep them hidden in the house, so I don't scare people. Put a hat on this guy, my Maha hat. But that'll scare people too, frankly, where I live in Colorado. But the point is,
Oh my
when I,
God, you're in Colorado. That state
oh,
has fallen. Oh my God, Gold Star mom, Tina Peters, rots in prison in your state, run by complete thieves, liars, and criminals. Continue with your story, but I just want to interject and say, does it now make sense to you, as it does to me, that yes, those orbs were real? Orbs creating crop circles, sometimes orbs caught on film creating a crop circle in real time. Could it be the same orb technology? Or maybe a previous orb technology prior to the ones that they rolled out for the MH370 disappearance? But that kind of exotic off-world technology, it appears off-world to us, but maybe that's part of this whole deception, is hidden deep state technology like those orbs, like that Tesla technology that they've hijacked and are usurping. What do you think?
well, the crop circles are not made by orbs. They're made by balls of light, which are a lot more dense and dark orange red. And I've seen them with my own eyes over the fields at night. And then you get up in the morning, there's a new crop circle. They are coming out of the earth. They are spinning vortices of plasma coming out of the earth with intention of creating this message. And doing crop circle explanation is a whole story in its own. But what I want to say is that when I was in the field of ufology for 10 years, 2007 to 2017, I was brushing shoulders with the greats of all time. Laura was also. And my films are full of Robert Odin, the granddaddy of ufology. And he was 80, but everybody had a crush on him because he was marvelous and brilliant. Jim Mars, total historian. Stanton Friedman, M, what is it? M12? What was he? MJ12. And he was a scientist that explained everything. There was Roger Lear. Basically, Laura and I were touring with the greats that were four-star generals. These people were real experiencers. There was the wacky Wendell Stevens, who had the largest UFO library in the world. And because these old guys saw me coming in totally green, no ego, because I didn't know squat, I didn't know who they were, but all of a sudden I was gifted all of their libraries of UFO images and the negatives I was given later for a number of photos that are really quite famous. So I was with the people that I really learned from and believed in. And then in 2015, we were infiltrated by Deep State.
Mhm.
And I watched every one of my friends that I loved and respected die in a short period of time. They all died. All the people in my movie number two called UFOs, ETs, Abductees, and Brilliant Minds, they're all gone. There might be one or two left. I mean, but out of 28, they disappeared. And what happened to ufology, in my opinion, is a lot of actors moved in
Yeah.
so that they could recreate the field of ufology with a bunch of crap. Because I'll tell you, when I see crop circle documentaries on YouTube, hundreds of thousands of views, they're crap. So what's happened now is we've got a bunch of pseudoscience. We've got a bunch of psyop dudes that are dying to be more famous than their friend, and they're bringing in a lot of things that just aren't real to prep us for knowing nothing.
Yeah, and I think so much of it is a distraction. By the way, guys, the crop circles I've been showing on screen here are from Patty's Crop Circles Calendar 2022 Signs, Wonders, and Mysteries. And I guess I'd ask you this. We're coming back to the guests here so you can see them, folks. Patty, are crop circles still happening, or did that completely dry up? Did they go away?
Great question. We've had very few in the last few years. And they went from the epicenter in England, all of a sudden the farmers, I have to be careful what I say, not that I'm going to fly into England anytime soon, but the farmers decided to listen to the government saying, if you don't shut down the researchers and quit letting them on your land, we're going to take away your monthly payments, your stipends for you and your farm and your family. So all of a sudden in 2014, 15, they stopped letting us in. And then in 2015, when it really got infiltrated, they told the farmers that they had to mow out the crop circles on day one. I mean, so it has been smushed and mushed. And meanwhile, when we realized that crop circles are real, They are spirit in the earth, consciousness of the earth itself and human consciousness combined, bringing these plasma fields to deliver these messages. I was reading the messages, and the binary codes were giving us so much information. Like in 2002, there was the alien face in the disc, which was this big binary code with an alien face. And I think the alien face for me might have been a distraction because I never met a gray, but I did read the message, and it was the summer after 9/11. And the message in binary code was really telling for these times. It said, beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises.
Mm-hmm.
Much pain, but still time. Believe there is good out there. We oppose deception. Conduit closing. Now, to me, if that had happened today, I'd go, yeah, now we're talking. The beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises. We're sitting here dealing with Joe Obama for 10 years, really torturing this country, and now everybody's confused. And we've seen the evolution, the devolution, in my opinion, and all I have is my opinion, of ufology. And when I saw the Congress presenting people that were speaking for the field of ufology, I just watched who they chose to interview, and it's not what it was.
No, it's very telling. And look, there's deep state connections, big time. And I always bumped when Ben Rich, the former head of Lockheed Skunk Works, said, we have the technology to take ET home and go to the stars and back. In fact, we've done that. Early on in my awakening, I was into the UFO thing and I sort of bought that. It made sense to me. Of course, we have exotic technology buried within the deep state that they'll never tell the people about. But now I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure we can get to the stars. I'm not so sure that this thing we live on is as described by Copernicus. I'm not so sure that the Bible's incorrect when it describes the heavens and the earth and the firmament, the waters above, the waters below. There's a lot going on in this great awakening. But if we circle back, let's talk just a little bit about Werner von Braun's assistant, Carol Rosin, who is a friend of Patty's, who warned us. What did she tell humanity repeatedly, Patty, about a fake alien invasion?
She said that when the deep state gives up on all their dirty tricks, which they've tried pretty much everything, the last card is what she and Werner von Braun called it. The last card will be the fake alien invasion to scare everybody into submission.
Okay.
And into accepting a one world government, one religion, one everything. And that better not be upon us now. But needless to say, with all these fake researchers, in my opinion, and fake experts, I mean, like Fauci, come on, and like the people talking about ufology today, I'm sorry, but we do have the solutions. We do have free energy. We do have zero point technology. We do have a machine that recreates crop circle frequencies to deliver more organic food back to the people of the planet. If somebody would just watch my final film, Crop Circle Diaries, and do a cheap rendition of the machine, which is a cheap rendition of crop circle technologies. It's charge density plasma at 30%. You put the seeds between two round plates. It's not expensive to do. You blast them with charge density plasma, which is what's happening in crop circles, with the intention. The mind is so important moving forward. And all we have, even though we don't know for sure this and that, what we do know is that we have ourself. And we have a great connection with our mind and heart if we choose to use it. And that's what we have that's going to save the world right now. Each one of us has our own independent world to run. And I'm choosing to really be mindful of the choices I make and try not to make the mistakes I've done in the past, attracting that deep state darkness, because I've been through more than I want to be.
I know, and you've covered that when we've had you on in the past. You've been tortured. And look, here's the thing regarding the last card. I want to go back to Laura. Laura, you look a little frustrated. What is it that you bumped on during any of that right now? Does it just feel like we're rehashing old news and you've got new news to share?
No. No, just no. I really enjoyed everything that she shared, and I think it's really wild. I just know Yeah, no, it's hard to bring, everything out. I'm going to be working on another, book. I'm working on a documentary, but I mean, the thing is with the Earth Alliance that was seeded, it's not completed yet. So people who talk about it like it's a ET thing, I mean, really, it's a network of patriots, military scientists, spiritual guardians. It's people on the ground level. It's us when we stand up and we demand free energy, and the world leaders have to sort of bend to us because we're the ones that get them out of the deep state control. We think that they're going to collapse it for us. We think that they're going to drain the swamps. We think they're going to like fix it all. And this has been such a unfortunate thing for so long in the way the government structure was even set up. And most of it has been very, very compromised,
Yeah.
especially when the three-letter organization started to create and groom our leaders and trauma-based mind control and people, with alters and they really want to cover up Eisenhower's legacy. And it's not about him, it's about what he was all about, which is our sovereignty, which is so important. And one of my favorite quotes from him was, the people want peace so bad the governments had better get out of their way and let them have it. I mean, this was a man that was raised very religious, Mennonite farmer background, German Swiss, who tried to take out the Nazis and set up things to safeguard our future that are still alive today. But the thing is, the real message is a knowledgeable and aware citizenry, because we are the ones that are safeguarding the future. He might have planted seeds along with many before him and many during his time, but we're the ones that came in with the ultimate seeds, which is all of our missions, which are being very, very targeted from the time of childhood with pharmaceuticals, with gender confusion. I mean, we have to stand up in our communities and look at where these pillars of society have been infiltrated, because we don't have just the government swamp. We have a swamp in every pillar of society, the medical industry, the entertainment, all of it, all of the above. And it's going to take us to be able to remove our consent from the different things that are streaming through those pillars of society when a big psyops, false flag, or manipulative event takes place, that people are being educated to spread and being threatened of their paycheck or their reputation if they don't. And we have to help those that have been blackmailed, that have been bound to these deep state agendas, who were filmed when they were drugged and don't remember anything, that are being held to these dark agendas. We need to have that conversation to bring those souls out of that web.
Mm-hmm.
We live in integrity. We are guardians and protectors of future generations. We stop looking outside of ourselves for some authority to parent us and to tell us what to do, how to think, what we can believe, what we can't believe, if we're going to be punished if we don't go along with it. Stop fearing if you're going to get that paycheck. Start not caring what other people think. Do what is right, because the rewards are so much greater on a spiritual level. And the thing is, every single one of us counts, and every child and every survivor and everybody who's ever been compromised needs us more than ever. And this is where the UFO, what you guys were saying, yes, me and Patty and I, walking in that arena and seeing, false narratives being steered, where I've been banned from these people because they're using Eisenhower's name, connecting him to the federations when he was all about our sovereignty, and not connecting to any ET council, didn't sign any Greer Treaty. These things originated way before him, and are trying to rewrite history. So it's not about him, it's about what he represented, and it's about them rewriting our history as well. Like we cannot heal as adults if we're given a rewritten history of our childhood. How are we going to heal as a humanity if we're being fed lies? So I'm not trying to be like all about Eisenhower. It's just an example of this level of infiltration and these kind of smear campaigns, that are trying to keep, putting on pedestals or having us look to the ones that are these black magicians like you're talking about, and their time is up, and we see that it's collapsing. So a lot of these military operations, the white hats, Eisenhower seeded that as well. This is ground level, but it's not like it's happening for us. Just trust the plan. We are the plan. We are a part of that plan. And there's just a lot more stepping up to the plate that we need to do, that you've done, that Patty's done tirelessly for so many years. So I just encourage everybody listening, don't forget yourself and how important you are in the mix. Whatever makes you angry, whatever you're depressed about, is your deeper soul calling, trying to get your attention. Let's stop medicating it and getting locked into this addiction matrix, and stand up to what those inner callings are telling you. Even if it doesn't feel comfortable, it's got a message for you.
Yeah. And by the way, I just want to add, where we all find common ground, the three of us and the audience, I think real honestly from the heart, when Patty talked about that technology to grow more crops, she talked about not only the technology, but the intention, the good intention. And I talk a lot about Dr. Emoto's water experiment. The intent the words we speak, the thoughts we have, love versus hate, very, very real. And I think if there's a common thread in this conversation, whether aliens are real from off world or whether they're spiritual entities, satanic entities, regardless, what is very real is this great awakening. To the degree that I don't even think that if they tried another world war, in this case, let's go back to World War II. The Japanese bomb Pearl Harbor, and we send our young men all over hell and back to get slaughtered in a Rothschild war. World War I was even more of an abomination. I don't think they're going to get away with it. Although, look what they're doing to Gaza right now. I mean, is there anything you've ever seen in your life more beyond the pale than what Israel, Netanyahu, is doing to Gaza, you guys? In front of the whole world on the world stage, and
No.
nobody's doing a damn thing about it, I got to say.
Well, and this is the thing with the people needing to rise up, because why is there so much business being done with Israel? Why isn't this being more dismantled? Yeah, I mean, World War III is a looming threat. I mean, I did peace talks in Istanbul that were a prerequisite that it was put in the news to Trump's meeting in Alaska with Putin. So when you look at Putin and Trump, there's some rebels amongst them trying to not take down the deep state, but plant enough seeds in us to be able to join with them. And I think that not necessarily those two, and I don't want to speak on any leader and have people be like, oh, she's all about this leader or that leader. What I'm saying is enough seeds have been planted for us to know what we need to do to, take this down. Because the thing is, control matrices will still exist. The reversal grid technology will still exist if we're on that wheel that's going backwards, if we're digressing because we're giving that power away, or we're just reacting without, realizing our part. Because the thing is, same with geoengineering. When you begin to dismantle the dark weaponry of mind control within yourself, you begin to de-weaponize the geoengineering. You begin to transmute and alchemize the bioweapons that got into your body. We're not powerless here. We have to look at all of those things as a trigger reminder of the power we hold that they're trying to steal and rewrite the script for. So if we can just do that and come together and stop being pit against each other and all these, gossip streams that are causing separation, all these different labels people are carrying that they're doing on purpose in order to keep us disconnected and fragmented, we will be quite the force to take down these genocide agendas and the atrocities that are still continuing. And we have a ways to go, but we've come real far, I feel.
Patty, if you want to comment on anything that we just spoke about, please do. But I want to take a little bit of a turn and ask you guys about the Great Awakening as it pertains to health and our own health. People are no longer relying on vaccines, at least those of us who are awake. Okay. We don't run to the doctor and ask if Humira is right for us. And I've been talking a lot on this show about peptides, about C60, about so many other things, stem cells. And you guys both look great. You don't look like you've aged a minute since you were last on the show. And that was well more than a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. Well, Patty, first of all, before we talk about that, did you have any last words to say about this fake alien invasion and the rise of humanity, the great awakening that we're all going through?
Well, I think it's extremely exciting to be alive at this time and to be a conscious individual. And I also congratulate your audience again, because knowing this much about the world and the darkness and still surviving is going to make all of our kids proud someday down the road, or our neighbors' kids proud to say, oh my God, my neighbor was a whistleblower. I thought she was nuts. So I'm looking forward to the evolution further. But we three have kicked some serious butt. And another thing we three have in common, if I may, is that we have kept our mitochondria clear on a regular basis with the product that saved my life. And I'm just going to bring it up, C60 Evo. This product helped me still be here today. Knock on wood. I was going down hard. I got hit with a weapon at an airport and went down on the marble floor and just got my hips replaced last year. That was 6 years ago. And the reason I lasted was because I've been doing this product, which won the Nobel Prize in the 90s. And we were the only lab in the world making it in the 90s, which I established with my partners yesterday that own the lab in Houston. So we actually delivered the product to every peer-reviewed study from our lab in Houston. And I never knew about it, because I wasn't looking for carbon fullerenes. But when we realize humans are made of carbon, everything is made of carbon, and they're doing all this carbon reduction, what they're saying is, no progress, no free energy, no trees, no air, no breathing. It's like, shut up. Carbon is good for us. And the highest frequency, the highest vibrating carbon on Earth is carbon 60. And it's just a particular molecule that is the best of it, in every application tested. And it was industrial until the last 5, 6 years because it was fabulous for ink, batteries, tires, photocells, but didn't start being noticed by humans until it was tested in 2012 for toxicity. Not only did these lab rats not die, but they lived 90% longer. So
No, wait, wait,
C6,
wait, wait. Don't rush through that. We've talked about that in the past. You just
yeah,
triggered a memory. The lab rats on C60 lived how much longer than the lab rats not on C60?
90%
Yeah,
longer,
that's
almost
insane,
twice.
guys. And she can't make that claim if it's not true. So Patty, continue in just one second. Laura, I just wanted to ask you though, because there is a war on carbon, because the elite hate us so much, they want to brainwash our children into believing we're the enemy, and the oxygen we exhale is making the planet unsustainable. Bill Gates at the top of the list. He's cutting down trees in an effort to what? Curb global warming? These people are absolutely insane. Your thoughts on Bill Gates and the war on carbon, real quickly, and then we'll go back to Patty.
Oh God, don't get me started.
Just real quickly, is he a demon creature in human
Oh,
form, Bill Gates?
absolutely. Yeah. And it was very difficult to see him, with the meeting with Trump. But I feel like there's a lot of survival within the deep state. A lot of it is just optics. It's just, and I don't want to make any excuses. But yeah, I mean, it helps mitochondrial DNA. Mitochondrial DNA is connected to the ether element. The ether element was put in reversal coding, the dodecahedron platonic solid, which made it so that the ether element, the mitochondrial DNA, being damaged generation to generation, made it very, very hard for us to heal. We've been compromised with rapid aging,
Yes.
disease, all sorts of issues for so many years. And the thing is, carbon from carbon-based to crystalline. Once we get the carbon, established in order to heal that mitochondrial DNA, the alchemical element of ether begins to create, transmutation, and it's linked to the 13th tone, which the whole system is rigged to keep out, which is a whole nother conversation. And so, yeah, there's an attack on all of this. There's and just this whole masking, the whole breath of life, the whole breathing in the breath, the whole coming together and unifying was all this was all to separate that. So everything that those guys are up to is a control agenda, a depopulation agenda, a total psyop, a total manipulation. I mean, Gates is suing Texas because they're not going to take his process or his lab made meat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's endless. So I'll kind of keep it at that. But carbon based to crystalline, our body will naturally move into that. But we have to understand the epigenetics. We have to understand how the mind talks to the body. The mind speaks to the body, either a programming or your connection with source and your higher self. If our mind talks to our body, the right kind of conversation that comes from our dreams, visions, and our connection to source, we will be able to move into that alchemical shift. And the thing is, something like C60 absolutely supports the body's ability to do that. It begins to clear and remove all that just junk and inversion and toxicity, and I use it myself. So and the thing is, we have to recognize, though, are we listening to a programming? Is that mind talking to the body of programming? Because we will get sick, but we can't just get there overnight. We need some things to support our body because of all the assaults that we've taken on with the bioweapons. Because even if we didn't get the, we've been spike protein. We've been dealing with so much on a constant basis that
No,
has tried to get into our systems. They're trying to vaccinate animals. Look at all the anomalies in animals right now.
that's right. No, it's 100% right. All right, I'm glad we did that because everything you just said is 100% true, 100% resonates with our audience. And Patty, I just want to say again, firsthand testimonial, I take the capsules every day because for me, the droppers filled with C60 upset my stomach a little bit with coffee. So I take the capsules and no ill effect, no side effect whatsoever. I love them.
Good. Everybody finds a different way to take it. We have 3 different oils. I use the MCT in my morning coffee, and I absolutely love it. It's half as strong as the olive oil, so I'll do a spoonful of the olive also. But Laura triggered what's really important, which is the actual science of why the high version ESS60 of the C60 market is helping people think clearly and clear the mind, and also to take us back into spirit. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of every cell, and your body is filled with cells that have mitochondria, 50 to 5,000 in every cell of the body except blood. On the other hand, the brain has 2 million mitochondria per cell. So when you've got something that goes direct into the mitochondria like a vacuum, which it does, and it grabs out all the toxicity, the brain is going to be the first place to notice because you've got 2 million mitochondria that are clearing out ever so quickly from the C60 Evo. Now, there's industrial grade C60, and we have to be very careful because a lot of people are selling industrial C60, which should be used for tires and batteries, not for people. But you're seeing a lot, we are seeing a lot of that online, highly promoted, sponsored. I mean, Amazon, they're just shoving some of these things up that are really not the quality that we're looking for or that are good for people and pets. So we're dealing with the deep state, of course, even in the C60 industry. And that's why we have differentiated ESS60 elemental safe spheres, which is what we make for the last 6 years in C60 Evo. It's not industrial, but our lab does sell industrial for tires, batteries, ink. We won't do that. If people say, I'm going to sell it online, mix it, I just want cheaper, we won't sell it. So they have to go to Wuhan, China and get their C60 there and then their oil from Costco.
Yeah,
So
no. Let's not do that, folks. In fact, I will leave a link below so you can get the legit, actual, real C60 Evo that helps those lab rats live 90% longer right below. And if there's any special offers or anything else we need to know, Patty, give us the word in just 1 second. But I have some breaking news I want to share with both of you in the audience. My wife just came up and she put her laptop in front of me. And if this doesn't speak to the insanity going on in our country right now, the left versus the right, the Christian ideology versus the Antifa, BLM, anti-human ideology, I don't know what does. Listen to this. Charlie Kirk was just shot during an event at Utah Valley University. Now, that's all I've got on this so far. Our prayers for Charlie Kirk. And by the way, Charlie's an avowed Zionist, all right? And I don't like Zionists, but I do respect Charlie Kirk and his intellect. And this is where we have to draw the line. You know, black men killing little white women on subways and the mainstream media ignoring it. Charlie Kirk having debates at universities and being shot. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not the Great Awakening. This is the Great Upheaval. And this is exactly what they want, Laura. They want a civil war in this country because they're losing in every other area. We got them on the run, and now they're shooting people like Charlie Kirk. Go ahead, Laura.
Oh, totally. I mean, this is the last legs of a parasite, a parasitic system, vampiric, just, yeah, going berserk. So it's going to get, I don't want to say it's going to get worse until it gets better, because how much worse can it get? It's already been worse. The thing is, we have to win the war on consciousness from within. And yeah, hold them all accountable, quit consenting. More masses have to wake up and be a part of this. And it's not about protesting as much as it's claiming your sovereignty, not consenting, and just, saying what needs to be said peacefully, with these healing tools and modalities to help people to break down that mind control, to be able to walk into something that feels comfortable, where they feel a certain safety instead of intimidated by this kind of information. Because the thing is, what I love about these conversations, it's not about having fixed beliefs. It's about opening up the conversation to a lot of these different ideas and concepts with our information, with our background, with our research, with our experiences, with the resources we have, and with a lot of things that we feel very confident in sharing. And then the scientific things to back up things like C60. So rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. It's
well, wait. He's not dead. I know. I hear. Let's pray for Charlie. He's okay.
I just got a text saying he was deceased.
Oh God, I hope not. Are you kidding me?
No.
He was shot in the neck. Ladies and gentlemen, he was shot in the neck at a Utah college event. The shooter's been detained. Obviously, this was an assassination attempt. We pray Oh my God, you're saying he's dead?
No, let's not run wild with that. This is somebody who is very much on the inside of things. I just got texted while you were talking, and it was funny that the timing of all that happened. But yeah, I mean, the elimination of those that, are a threat, and I mean, if the Zionist aspect is there,
Oh my God, this makes me so angry. I mean, this is what you want in your country, guys? People that can't have conversations in the public town square
that's
without
exactly,
trying to shoot people, without trying to assassinate people?
I know, and that's the thing. And there's so much libtard normalcy with violent acts versus the slightest movement to just express our desire for freedom is weaponized into being radical or racist or you know what I mean? Anyway.
Oh my God. MSNB suggests the man who shot Charlie Kirk was a supporter shooting their gun off in a celebration. What, like a jihadist in the Middle East? Are you kidding me? These people are sick. Patty, look, I'm sorry to do this to you, but that's got to be said, right? These people are
Oh, yeah.
sick and they are anti-human, anti-American. They're parasites on all of us, these people that want what? What do they want? What do they want? Socialism? Communism? The end of the republic?
The
They
deep
want
state wanted the social regimes to begin to take over after the fake alien invasion wasn't successful in 2014. They didn't feel threatened by that, but now they realize um, that they've played their last cards. And these social regimes, they're trying to bankrupt the US and bankrupt the cartels because the deep state actually owns the United States. They infiltrated. We never really won the Second World War. So there's a lot of these background things going on, but the biggest and most important thing is to bankrupt the cartels, which are what supply the deep state funds. So all these different movements that are funded by Soros and all these different, things that they're able to get away with to create these fake news stories, that's all dying, but it has its peaks and it's still, happening to an extreme, and it's sick.
if
It's
they
absolutely sick.
could.
What do they want? They just want us to be traumatized and controlled, depopulated. They want a
Well, and
terror
by the way, I'm sorry to
takeover.
interrupt. And by the way, just let me make the point. Patty, your thoughts on this too, and then we're going to go back. I got to show a couple of last important things here, a couple of websites. But Patty, 7 AfD candidates, that's the Make Germany Great Again party in Germany, 7 candidates died suddenly in the past couple of months running up to this September 14th election. So, as I just stated in an interview with my friend Harley Schlanger, when you can't beat them, kill them. That's what's going on here.
Well, that's what Gates replied when they said, "How do you feel about Jeffrey Epstein?" At this point, and he goes, "Well, he's dead."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No,
what
these,
we have is a group of elites that are drinking blood and sacrificing people. What we have is a system that's been so deep and dark that those of us that have known for decades, I give us credit for surviving, staying graceful with the public when we're waiting for everybody to draw the line and say, "You guys are done. You guys are absolutely done." I don't think we've ever been this close in history to cleaning it up. And Mr. Trump has been extremely brave. He's been shot twice, as we know. So the shooters are everywhere. I live in Boulder, Colorado, and we are owned by Soros and his boy
yeah.
and his clan. And I'm watching the politics here. And what they're getting away with is so sad because it's all mail in voting. And Trump said, "We're taking Space Force out of Colorado because you guys are just too stupid." He was more polite than that, but that's basically what he said. "You guys are too dishonest. We don't want it there." And they removed it to Huntsville, Alabama. Brilliant move. My family is slowly moving out of Colorado because we don't want to give up,
No.
but why live in a dying state and give them our tax dollars?
It's 100% correct. No, people have got to vote with their feet at this point. And if you're in California, guys, it's time to get the heck out, I think. Californians need to rise. By the
Oh,
way, two final
and I think
websites I wanted to show. Yeah, I pay attention during these interviews, Laura. And you
you're
mentioned
awesome.
energeticsynthesis.com. I don't know anything about this, but I think it looks quite interesting.
Oh,
For those who resonated with what you brought to the table today, tell us about this website, and then I want to show one other website.
that is so incredible. Thank you so much. Yeah, she's become a really good friend of mine. She has an online community. I don't I'm not in that community, but I read her newsletters. When we're on the phone together, we talk for about 8 hours. She calls out all the dark tech. She talks about our galactic history, and it's very much about the Guardians and the Christos, the true Christ energy, the Christ light. And if you look at all of this, it might look, at first like New Age woo-woo, but she actually calls out that all the New Age programmings, negative alien agenda, dark night of the soul, victimizer programming, every single programming, alien implants, bifurcation of time. It's the highest vibe, and it's so beautiful, but it doesn't sugarcoat anything, and it really takes us into the level of manipulation humanity's been under. She's a profoundly incredible person, and satanic forces, all the Luciferian stuff, mind control, sexual misery programs, reversal grid technology, houses of ego, Nephilim reversal grid, King of Tyranny, where these dark technologies have been placed, how it's affected the ley lines, the Michael Mary lines, the Arthur Guinevere, the sacred sites of Avebury Henge, and the true planetary grid network that exists underneath, that we are naturally connected to. Our 12-strand DNA is connected to it. The history behind, how our DNA was compromised, who's behind it. I mean, it doesn't miss a beat. And she always says, like I do, take what resonates and leave the rest. It's all about being God sovereign free. She doesn't have a big ego. She goes through a lot all the time, but she puts this out tirelessly. And yeah, she's been a wonderful friend. She's had my back like nobody's business. And I'm grateful that we're so close. She knew that I understood this information. So she's like, you don't even have to quote me. I'm like, are you kidding? Anytime I bring up your information, I'm going to say where I got it from. But she acknowledges that, these kind of downloads come through a lot of us, and you guys, speak very much a lot of this language. So, very selfless, very beautiful soul. So I highly recommend checking out this site.
We're glad to pay it forward. And let me just say that no single podcast or no amount of books can give humanity the knowledge that has been stolen from us and hidden. I mean, the Great Library of Alexandria. Do you know all that data? Is that in your head, guys? Or are you just going to poo-poo everything that was shared in this broadcast without digging in deeper? I will leave this link below. And by the way, as it relates to implants, my friend over at Masterpiece, the founder of Masterpiece, Matt Hazen, he told me the other day regarding schizophrenia that he firmly believes just about everybody with schizophrenia has an implant. And that doesn't necessarily mean it was an alien implant. It could be a deep state implant. And that what reminded me of that was sexual mind control implants, because we know the deep state has their sex slaves.
Exactly. Did you get my website by any chance?
Sorry, Laura.
Oh, okay. Cosmic Gaia, CosmicGaia.org.
Got it.
And mine is Crop Circle Films with an S.com.
Got it.
And c60evo.com/SGT report.
Any specials or anything you can tell the audience about, Patty?
You bet. What is most special is that the rats lived 90% longer, and they died without any tumors for the first time in history. This is the longest longevity results in history on any lab animals. The ESS60 is absolutely exceptional, and it won the Nobel Prize in 1996. And right now it's changing people's lives around the world. We offer 20% off if you sign up for a monthly subscription, and most people do, but you can cancel without any obligation. Just get the discount. And Sean does have a link below. And in that link, if you go, you'll peek at our store, some of the top sellers, and you can get 10% off using his code at checkout. We do 25% off for cases, which we sell a lot of. And if people think to use your code, that's 25 off plus another 10 at checkout. And it ends up being really, really worthwhile. But when you've got something that clears the brain fog within a day, that you notice the difference, you're going to stop buying all of those supplements that you've been buying for years, perhaps, that you don't notice any benefits. I did. I quit. And the ESS60 is so all around, head to toe assistance. Like I said, I had 2 hips replaced last year, and I flew through my recovery. And I went 5 years longer than anybody, bone on bone. And when I went to interview surgeons, they just looked at me and said, "It's not possible. Wait, how are you doing this?" And I kept trying to give them a bottle, but they don't want to hear it
No, they
because
don't. And they don't want to hear about peptides. You know, Patty, I got to tell you, Dan Metcalf from bornsuperhuman.com said the exact same thing. He could not have recovered from his paralyzation of being injured live on stage during a musical, were it not for C60. And then he had a head injury while biking, and C60 brought him back. Can't thank you
awesome.
enough for the information today from both of you. I think this has been a startling conversation, an intriguing conversation, a challenging conversation, and God forbid, a lifetime conversation. Charlie Kirk has been shot while we were on this broadcast. I got to tell you guys, the violence coming from the left, it's all coming from the left. All of the violence is coming from the left.
Yep.
So we'll see how this plays out. I'm sure that will be the case in the Charlie Kirk shooting as well. All right. Our guests have been the CEO of C60 Evo and award-winning filmmaker Patty Greer. Thank you, Patty.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you. And author and researcher Laura Eisenhower. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys back. Friends, if you're still with us, thanks for keeping an open mind. By the way, we're all in this war together. I've said from day one when I launched my YouTube channel, which no longer exists since 2020, but in 2010, I always said from day one, we're all in this war together, folks. It's we the people versus the banksters and their alphabet agencies. I would add to that their military industrial complex. All right, friends, if you're still with us, thanks so much for tuning in. The links are below, and I'll remind you guys every single day for free. Check us out to get the real news, the antidote to corporate propaganda 24/7 at sgtreport.com. Until next time, God bless you and yours.